Fischer was a young and privileged white South African from one of the most powerful Afrikaner families. His political destiny was to become a prime minister or chief justice in the ruling apartheid system, following in the footsteps of his famous pedigree that included a father who was a judge president of the Orange Free State and a grandfather who had been the prime minister of the Orange River Colony. To top it all, he was a Rhodes Scholar at Oxford University, where he trained as a lawyer. Nevertheless, motivated purely by his conviction that the apartheid system was morally reprehensible, Fischer turned his back on his family, racial and class heritage to join Black South Africans in the liberation struggle. In effect, he became a pariah amongst his fellow white Afrikaners who considered him as traitor to his people. Here was a man who was destined for greatness as heir to South Africa's highly privileged white aristocracy, yet chose to throw it all away to follow his conscience. But before I delve deeper, let me remind you viewers to support my work by liking and subscribing to this channel. When you do so, you are helping me continue providing you with these types of well-researched and detailed videos about Africa. Now, as a lawyer, Bram's brilliant legal skills as the lead defense lawyer saved Nelson Mandela and his co-defendants from the death penalty in the famous Rivonia trial of the 1960s. But soon thereafter, he would find himself arrested for his political beliefs and eventually condemned to life imprisonment. Shortly after his arrest, which led to him being sentenced to life imprisonment, Bram Fischer was asked whether his sacrifice of family and legal practice, being hunted as an outlaw, and the inevitable harsh punishment that was to follow was worth it. He was offended by the question. He replied sharply, "Did you ask Nelson Mandela, Walter Sisulu, Govan Mbeki, or Kathy Kathrada, or any others that have already suffered this punishment? If not, why do you ask me?" But a far worse fate awaited him in prison because the constant brutality he endured there and in previous years in the form of constant surveillance, home raids, and arrests of himself and his wife Molly eventually took its toll. In 1974, shocking news from prison was leaked that he was suffering from cancer, and sadly, he never recovered from it. Years later, a heartbroken President Mandela said this of his fallen comrade's sickness: "Although the government left no fingerprints on Bram's body, it was the state's relentless harassment of him that brought on the final illness that took him too soon. They hounded him even after death. The state confiscated his ashes after his cremation." Bram Fischer's unshakable moral conscience was evident in 1964, where he stated these prophetic words: "What is needed is for white South Africans to shake themselves out of their complacency, a complacency intensified by the present economic boom built on racial discrimination. Unless this whole intolerable system is changed radically and rapidly, disaster must follow. Appalling bloodshed and civil war will become inevitable because as long as there is oppression of a majority, such oppression will be fought with increasing hatred. But Bram Fischer's extraordinary bravery and heroism were demonstrated by his determination to endure the same physical hardships as his comrades in the liberation struggle. Mandela would say later of his character, Bram was a purist, and after the Rivonia trial, he decided he could best serve the struggle by going underground and living the life of an outlaw. It burdened him that the men whom he was representing in court were going to prison while he lived freely. During the trial, I advised Bram not to take this route, stressing that he served the struggle best in the courtroom where people could see this Afrikaner son of a judge president fighting for the rights of the powerless. But he could not let others suffer while he remained free. Like the general who fights side by side with his troops at the front, Bram did not want to ask others to make a sacrifice that he was unwilling to make himself.
Bram was a courageous man who followed the most difficult course any person could choose to follow. He challenged his own people because he felt that when they were doing what was morally wrong, then it was his duty to challenge them. He chose the road that had to pass through jail. He traveled it with courage and dignity.
Years later, in the new free and democratic South Africa he had sacrificed so much for, a heartbroken President Mandela said this about Bram's heroism in his famous autobiography, Long Walk to Freedom. In many ways, Bram Fischer, the grandson of the Prime Minister of the Orange River Colony, had made the greatest sacrifice of all. No matter what I suffered in my pursuit of freedom, I always took strength from the fact that I was fighting with and for my own people. Bram was a free man who fought against his own people to ensure the freedom of others. Apart from the tremendous grief and sadness that we feel about Bram Fischer's tragic life, what does his story teach us today? Our main lesson is that Bram's life was not in vain because he modeled for us the heights we can ascend to as human beings when motivated by our highest moral ideals. Here was a man raised in a position of extreme privilege, yet used the privilege to defy the injustice of the same society that raised him, thereby paying the ultimate price. At his trial, he invoked his Afrikaner pedigree as a driving force for his opposition to apartheid by telling the judge, "Surely, my lord, there was an additional duty cast upon me that at least one Afrikaner should make this protest." The very idea that an individual can be willing to make these kinds of extreme personal sacrifices so that others can be free is almost unimaginable to most of us today. Yet this is possible even today. As an Afrikaner, Bram Fischer is also a powerful reminder that no group of people, be it racial, ethnic, or religious, is collectively evil. But why did the anti-apartheid struggle produce people of such high consciousness like Bram Fischer? As Mandela reminds us, extraordinary times produce extraordinary people. One of the unintended consequences of the brutality and oppression of the apartheid era, according to Mandela's autobiography, was that it produced the Oliver Tambos, the Walter Sisulus, the Chief Luthulis, the Yusuf Dadus, the Bram Fischers, the Robert Sobukwes of our time. Men of such extraordinary courage, wisdom, and generosity that their like may never be known again. Perhaps it requires such depth of oppression to create such heights of character. These days, Bram Fischer is finally getting the kind of well-deserved recognition and accolades that eluded him when he was alive. For example, in 2017, Dutch director Jean van de Velde's film An Act of Defiance, which is based on Bram Fischer's life, was released. In 2012, Bloemfontein Airport was renamed Bram Fischer International Airport. He deserves this and so much more. Bram Fischer was truly a son of the African soil. His spirit lives on. And that's it, viewers. Hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more thought-provoking content like this. Till next time.